How do I choose between professors who teach the same class? I usually look at Rate My Professor.
Rate My Professor.
Rate My Professor, for sure.
Rate My Professor.
Rate My Professor.
Rate My Professor.
I'm Holt Zog. I'm the assessment librarian at the Brigham Young University Library. As a data person here in the library, I'm always for having different viewpoints. Are you familiar with triangulation? So triangulation is where you're looking at one item and you look at it from several perspectives. And the idea is if you see each of the perspectives are talking about the same thing, it increases the validation of what they're doing. So as a different perspective for triangulation, I imagine they would be helpful, but I think they would have to be viewed cautiously. I think that probably the best advantage is that it provides an option, another view of rating professors. It's just another data point. It is somewhat problematic in the sense that there's nothing to gauge who goes on and says what about the instructor. So you could not, someone could theoretically have never taken a course from a teacher, but just heard that friends really hate them and go on and give them a real negative rating. Or, for example, one instance when I was in Alberta, the husband of one teacher in our school went on and gave her just glowing reviews, even though he was long out of high school. And so that's the problematic end of those.
When I was an undergraduate, I used Rate My Professor quite a bit, and so when I am thinking about whether or not I like Rate My Professor, I think it's actually quite useful, but I think you have to kind of sift through, you have to kind of read between the lines. I always liked finding the professors that looked like they were challenging their students. That was the kind of professor I was attracted to. I wanted somebody who was going to challenge me, push me. And so I wouldn't sort of just go for the easy professors, so I thought it was nice for that. Now as a professor, when I think about Rate My Professor, I think it's fine. I guess I don't have negative views about it. Okay, has Rate My Professor changed how I view myself as a teacher or a scholar? No, not really, not at all. I mean, it is nice to see people say nice things, and it's, sad to see people say mean things, and there are a few, I know when I have looked, there are a few students that really hate me. So, that's sad, but I figured I can't win everybody. Like, not everybody's going to love me, and that's okay. I had teachers that I really loved that my classmates didn't like. So I don't really think that I don't know. Anybody that's getting all great reviews, I wonder what's going on. How is that even happening? I don't understand it.
Yeah, generally I know people who have taken the class before, and they usually give the most accurate, like personal, they say, oh, it's like this professor, either has better lectures or this professor has a better organized course. I have used other like online sources like Rate My Professor, but a lot of times it also comes down to what time they teach. Like, a big deal is if the professors teach at different times, so.
Yeah. Sure.
No, I've only had good experiences with Rate My Professor.
What is
I'm Dr. Derek Hatterley, and I teach in the philosophy department here at BYU, and I do my research in metaphysics and metaethics primarily. So I think about questions having to do with the nature of morality. Yes, I've read reviews on Rate My Professor about myself, and yeah, it's always a heartwarming experience.
So actually, I mean, I can say something about building ordering into here. If I want to say, if I think that the order matters, A, B, C, I would write something like this. I would write, this is the convention with angle brackets. I would write A, B, C.
I have never taken, or I've never looked at a Rate My Professor and had it be drastically different from what I experienced in the classroom.
I definitely know that when I've left a review, you can't say everything about them. I do really like the feature where there's like the yes or no's on the top, like is attendance required? Do they, like grade based on the textbook? Is there lecture? That kind of thing. And then also the tags that you can put. I feel like that gives a very helpful overview, but it's just that, an overview.
I've never left a review on Rate My Professor.
Me neither.
Have I ever left a review on Rate My Professor? I have not.
I have never left a review on Rate My Professor, no.
I haven't either.
Sure, I can go for that one. Econ 110. I had Curl, and I loved Curl, but most people really did not like the professor that taught that course, so that was a very different experience for me than them.
Yeah, I would agree because we're both doing econ, so a lot of the 110, I think no matter how well you teach 110, you get a bad rating. So I think certain classes, if they're hard or if they're like not fun classes, then you're going to get a lower rating overall, and so it doesn't really tell as much about the professor as it does the class. I think that can happen.
I mean, I think it's just like any other review website. If you go to Google Reviews or Yelp or any of these things, they give you some information, but it's not always accurate. People have different temperaments and tastes. So I think it's a useful piece of information, but it shouldn't settle the matter on which classes to take or which professor to take.
I'd say it gives you hints, gives you ideas of what's going to happen, but it doesn't help as much as an in-person evaluation.